Hello darlings, it's Wednesday afternoon. Oh, and it's a very warm one, a very warm one indeed. The farmers haymaking and baling, or whatever you call it, in the field, which is always a pleasure to watch. I love watching the gobble monster. The farmer's got this big gobble monster thing, and he just rides it around the field, and the gobble monster gobbles up all the hay and then poos out perfectly rectangular hay poos, which the farmer can then stack up in neat piles. I could watch it for hours. The gobble monster is amazing. So today has been, well, I'm not as knackered as I thought I'd be, surprisingly. Up at a reasonable time. Got a video edited, just the daily diary. Plenty of footage to play around with. Had lunch. Did a bit of tidying. Just a really chilled day, really. Other than that, unfortunately, on a personal level, I have no good news for you. On a more universal level, I've got loads of good news for you. Summer is here. The nights are still as short pretty much as they get. You've got beautiful, long, sunshine-filled days. The world is a beautiful place, and every day is a new opportunity. So those are all wonderful things. On a more personal level, everything has gone to poo, as most of you know. My channel was demonetized, but I've had kind of another kick in the teeth. I was demonetized on May the 27th. So that means the channel was earning money from May the 1st through to May the 26th. Now, normally, the payment for May would arrive on the 23rd of June. I assumed, I did assume originally, but then I did research and checked it out, and that confirmed my assumption. I always want to say assumation, and that's not really a word, so I shouldn't say it. But my research confirmed that the money earned prior to demonetization would be paid as normal. So I've been working on the basis that, okay, I'm going to have 4 months without the YouTube income. I will find a way to deal with that. Tractor! Now, May was quite a good month by my standards, mainly thanks to what YouTube call fan funding, but is in reality you lovely, amazing, beautiful community members being channel members, gifting channel memberships, sending a super chat or a super thanks, all of that sort of thing. So the vast majority of May's earnings were money from you guys, and yeah, I just assumed that it would arrive. Now, I have direct debits and standing orders set to go out on the 24th, because I know money's going in on the 23rd. I'm sure a lot of YouTubers do that. I'm I'm deliberately not looking at that text because I know exactly what it is. It's always this time of day. That's how I know. So that's what I was expecting, and obviously the Wales trip, I arranged that for the 24th on the basis that I'd have a couple of bob to fund it. Not a massively expensive trip, just petrol, spot of lunch, and you know, the trip on the tram or cable cars or whatever. And the money didn't come. And I've checked things out, and YouTube have decided that all of May doesn't count. So the fact that I was demonetised on the 27th, the fact that between the 1st and the 27th were 26 days, you guys very kindly sent your own hard-earned money by way of channel memberships, donated channel memberships, super chats, super thanks, whatever. That YouTube don't appear to care about that. They've just decided that no, that money doesn't exist. So I went onto my Google AdSense account, and according to the powers that be, May is a zero income month. So that has caused some difficulties. It caused difficulties on Monday, and it's just caused difficulties more generally because from Sunday I've just been over my overdraft limit, and there'll be no money going in there. Sorry, I appear to be having a full-blown panic attack talking about this. I'm going to have a little break from talking about it, and so I'm feeling a bit lightheaded, and that's not good when you're driving. I'll come back in a bit. Hello, my loves. You join me on the way home. And yeah, sorry about earlier. I was had a panic attack. You know, the old lightheadedness, feeling you're going to pass out, tight chest, can't breathe. They're not fun. I wouldn't recommend them if you could possibly avoid them. So I just had to get myself to work as best as I could. I'm not going to rattle on about what I was rattling on about. It's all been a bit of a perfect storm. I've got my plan. I'm happy with it. So we don't need to. Well, you don't need to hear my problems anyway. We don't need to go on and on about it. I know what I'm doing. I'm happy with it. So that's all good. That's weight lifted, really. In other news, tonight was as dead as a doornail. We had quite a frank discussion. Oh, it is very quiet, Jason. Yes, it is. Very, very quiet. Yes. Oh, this is no good. We can't. Oh dear. We can't. And I said, what do you want me to say? I've been telling you for 2 years, if not more, that this would happen. I've told you what to do. I've told you how to prepare. You've done nothing. You know, you make your bed, you have to lie in it. Oh, maybe just UK, nobody have any money, everybody quiet. So I went to the restaurant on the corner, took a photograph. It was full. making any money. And you know what? Their problem, not my problem. I know how to solve it. But I've told them many times, you know. So what can you do? Within 1,000 yards of us, there are 4 Indian restaurants. Now you might say, well, they are Indian restaurants, you are a Nepali restaurant. Yeah, but we're a Nepali restaurant that serves Indian food. Let's be honest about it. I've been telling them for years that competition will increase, competition will become harder. Your community makes it harder for themselves because all the restaurants want to open in the same area. There's only a finite number of customers. Bloody hell, I'm starting to get panicky again talking, I'm getting short of breath. Dear oh dear. There's only a finite amount of customers. You increase the suppliers of the same product, you're trying to share the same section of customers. Of course your margins, of course your sales are going to go down. Any fool can see that. And so their answer is always, well, put a special offer on. 10% off, 15% off, 20% off. I said, no, you don't do that. If you knock 20% off your food on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then what you're saying to the customer is, hey, guess what? We're overcharging you by 20% on Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not the way it works. Now, the restaurant on the corner was full because everything on their menu is, let me work it out, about 25% cheaper than us, like for like. And also they're not licensed, so customer can take their own booze. So in other words, you could go to them, take your beers or your £5 bottle of wine, and if you're a couple, you can eat and bugger off for 15 quid. Can't do that with us. Now, admittedly, our food is, of a different standard. But, and at the weekends, when people are expecting to spend money, fine. But if you want, if you're on a relatively limited or moderate income, and you want a cheeky Tuesday treat, you're going to watch your pennies, aren't you? And you're not going to go to where you would go for a big treat on a Friday or Saturday night. Unless you do what I've been begging them to do for weeks, months, years. Honestly, for years they've been trying to address the situation of being quiet Tuesday to Thursday. They ask me, what should we do? I tell them the same thing. I've told them forever. They don't do it. 2 things. Well, one thing really. You put on, if not a different menu, like a midweek menu, you put on specials, different specials Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You bring them down to a lower price point so that people who wouldn't justify the normal amount on a meal with you or a takeaway, suddenly they've got the option of having a cheeky treat at a lower price point. other thing you do is you put different dishes on there. You put different dishes that are on the main menu, so that people who maybe weren't going to eat with you, maybe we're going to go somewhere else for a change or whatever, they'll say, our favourite restaurant is offering something that we can't get on a Friday or Saturday or Sunday whenever we normally go. We'll order from them tonight. We'll try this different thing. It sounds amazing. And when I say a different thing, not some boring variation on a theme, people want authenticity. So the specials on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday should be actual Nepali food. Not like tweaked versions of it, the actual stuff that we eat. The UK's not in the 1970s anymore. People travel. People go to cities where they can eat authentic ethnic food. Offer them that. So your existing customers, you'll persuade them to eat with you one extra time per week by offering them something different, or you will persuade them to eat an extra time with you by offering them the chance to eat with you at a lower price point, or you will take from the competition, you'll take customers from the competition because you're offering something different, not the same old boring menu items that every Indian and every Nepali restaurant offers. But I'm bored of bloody telling them. I mean, I did say tonight that, look, at the end of the day, if the restaurant does amazingly well or the restaurant does amazingly badly, I get paid the same. So you don't listen to me. You're not willing to give me the authority to change things, and ultimately, what's my benefit from doing it anyway? So, your business, your problem. Oh, we have meeting, we'll have meeting, blah blah blah. Yeah, whatever. I've invested too much time and too much trust in these people on the hope, promise or expectation that something would come along, and it hasn't, and let's be honest, it's never bloody well going to. So there you go. God, I'm a cheerful soul tonight, aren't I, darlings? I probably won't put this one up. Oh, I tell you what, because we were so quiet, and because I'm not in the best place, I sat in the car for a lot of tonight, and I got to listen to the live on Radio 4. I got to listen to the debate between Keir Starmer and Rishi Sunak. And did any of you listen to it? And if you did, what did you think? Let me know in the comments below. I thought that Sunak absolutely wiped the floor with Keir Starmer. I genuinely did. But I'd be interested in your thoughts. Let me know.
Republican president has certainly enjoyed fueling speculation. In 2016, he picked the governor of Indiana, Mike Pence, as a way to court the evangelical Christian vote. But Mr. Pence, well, he fell out of favour after refusing to help overturn the 2020 election result. So, who will it be this time around? And what might the thinking be behind Donald Trump's choice? BBC's Neda Tawfiq has been taking a look at some of the rumoured contenders.
We need Donald Trump! Donald J. Trump will make America great again.
In what feels like the VP edition of The Apprentice, there's no shortage of contenders vying to be Donald Trump's running mate. Among the reported shortlist, a governor from the fourth least populous state of North Dakota, a black Southern Republican senator, a Cuban American senator from Florida, a Trump country so-called intellectual populist, and a millennial millennial congresswoman from New York.
Given his penchant for drama, I think his preference really is to keep people guessing.
Senator Kevin Cramer of North Dakota believes it's highly likely Trump will pick the governor of his state, Doug Burgum.
Who are we going to send back to the White House? Trump!
Like Trump, he entered politics in 2016 as a businessman. The wealthy governor made his fortune by mortgaging his family's farm to invest in a software company, which he later took public and sold to Microsoft for $1.1 billion in 2001.
He brings a stability, brings a knowledge of how to run a corporation, how to run a family farm, how to run a grain elevator. And I do think Doug's governing of the energy boom in North Dakota is very appealing to Donald Trump and to his message. And I do think that Doug Burgum balances some of the more impulse, if you will, and the big personality of Donald Trump.
So get ready for something, okay? Just get ready. But Doug Burgum has been incredible.
Myra Adams, a former Republican and an op-ed writer for the U.S. political website The Hill, also believes Burgum is the favorite to take it. Despite running in the Republican presidential primary, Governor Burgum doesn't have much of a national profile. She is betting that Trump wants someone photogenic who will staunchly defend him, but who will not outshine him.
Talk about a nothing burger. My little town has more people than North Dakota, but he doesn't present any kind of problem. He would just be a vanilla, just a vanilla old rich guy.
If Trump is more focused on a VP who could bring in additional votes, Myra is among those who say Senator Marco Rubio of Florida is the better choice.
He speaks Spanish, and that is so key. I can't emphasize that enough. This will be the first election where the Hispanic vote is projected to be larger than the black vote. Biden won 67% of Hispanic Catholics compared to 32% for Trump. Rubio could really help with Hispanic Catholics. Plus, Rubio is very experienced. He's vice chairman of the Intelligence Committee, but I don't think Trump trusts him. I think Trump believes that Rubio is just looking to be president.
Considered up with Burgum and Rubio in the top three is the new Ohio Senator, J.D. Vance.
Let's rebuild prosperity for America's citizens and re-elect Donald J. Trump.
He once wondered whether Trump was America's Hitler, but is now close to Trump's son, Don Jr. He is seen by some as more useful in Congress and unlikely to add much to the ticket. And what about a running mate that could help with key demographic groups that lean Democrat? Here's senior advisor to the Trump 2016 campaign, Dave Urban.
Do you think women who may be suspect of Donald Trump would somehow overcome their suspicion and be overcome by having just a woman on the ticket? And the same goes for having an African American on the ticket. Again, wouldn't it be the ultimate irony that if the vice president were picked, somebody not on the list? Right? Wouldn't that be the ultimate showmanship?
Whoever it is would not only be a heartbeat away from the presidency should Trump win, but potentially the future leader of the party for years to come.
Neda Tawfiq reporting. Quick reminder, if you want to listen back to any of this programme or to previous ones, you can go to BBC Sounds, where you can also download the podcast. You can also listen back to the full debate between Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer on BBC Sounds as well. The main headlines so far on The World Tonight: Rishi Sunak and Keir Starmer have traded blows on taxes, public spending, immigration and the trustworthiness of politicians in their final leaders debate before the general election. In the last hour, there have been reports of a military coup in Bolivia with tanks and troops surrounding government buildings in La Paz. And the US Supreme Court has accidentally published a ruling on a major abortion rights case, which appears to overturn a near total ban on abortions in the state of Idaho. Now, on yesterday's programme, we told you about a day of deadly violence on the streets of the Kenyan capital, Nairobi. That was the sound of police firing at young people who were protesting against tax rises in a new finance bill. Some of the protesters managed to get into the Parliament building, which was set on fire and vandalised. More than 20 people were reportedly killed in the protests. Kenya's President William Ruto initially said that the military would be deployed and that violence wouldn't be tolerated, but today he struck a very different tone.
Having reflected on the continuing conversation around the content of the Finance Bill 2024 and listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly that they want nothing to do with this Finance Bill 2024, I concede, and therefore I will not sign the 2024 Finance Bill.
Chris is one of the young Kenyans who joined yesterday's protests. So what does he make of the president's U-turn?
It's a great victory, I think, for the youth, because for once we feel like our voice has been heard. I mean, assuming that it actually goes to pass, because saying it is one thing, but like the actual implementation, we'll have to wait and see.
You're still skeptical, are you?
Yeah, I mean, until we see it, it's not the first time we've been promised things by politicians and they didn't come to pass, so we'd have to wait and see. But generally, I mean, it goes beyond just the finance bill. It's really just holding our leaders accountable, which I think was the big outcome from this. Because the leaders went through with this bill despite the protests and despite each and every county coming up and telling people, like, we don't want this thing. But they decided to go through with it. So the fact that it's been stopped in its tracks, it feels like a win.
The president does sound pretty clear. He said, listening keenly to the people of Kenya who have said loudly they want nothing to do with this finance bill, I concede I will not sign it. It will subsequently be withdrawn. The people have spoken. What would you like to see happen now? Because the debt is still there, isn't it? The remedy is one that you didn't like and the president is now saying he's not going to go ahead with, but there's still a massive debt that needs to be addressed, isn't there?
Yeah, the debt is definitely one massive elephant in the room. But I think the questions which the youth were asking is, I mean, how did we get to this point to begin with? And he did touch on that very, very lightly today. But also one of the things that all of us were protesting about is actually the government spending. No one would have had such a big issue with the taxes had we actually known that like the money is going towards something meaningful. The big issue people had is that when you're seeing renovations being done for hundreds of billions on buildings that genuinely don't need renovations, and at the same time there's hospitals that don't have medicine, for example, right? So I think the conversation is gonna go on and spill over from just beyond this finance bill to actually the government spending. We're basically drowning in debt and no one can really point out a significant development that this government has done in the last 2 years.
What about the generational divide? As you say, it's a youth movement, the feeling that the young people are having to pay for the profligacy of the older generations. How do you kind of bridge this generational divide, which seems to be...
Here we are then, darlings. Home again. Home again, the welcoming little light there outside dead old windy bum's door. There we are. Okay, my lovelies, that's it for today. Thank you for your company as always. It really just wouldn't be the same without you, would it? Have a safe and peaceful night and a cool night, and have the best day that you possibly can tomorrow. Take great care of yourselves. Much love from me, and I'll see you next time. But you, and indeed, bosh.